Hello YouTube. Well, here's a story for you. So I went to a client the other day who works at an insurance firm. I think he owns it. I think he owns it actually. Um, where basically they had a computer problem, and this is the very machine that was having the problem. The machine just wouldn't boot into Windows at all. I'll show you what it does later, but essentially you'd start it up, you'd get a blue screen with registry error, and I initially thought that was just Windows having an issue or file corruption or something. But the weird thing I noticed is every time it hit that blue screen, the hard drive would shut off, which doesn't make much sense to me at all. So I tried booting a Linux disk, and it wouldn't boot the Linux disk either. So I've come to the conclusion that I also tested the RAM because I thought the RAM might be causing data corruption, but that's not the case. The problem lies in the chipset. The chipset on this motherboard is just done. It doesn't work properly at all. At least with storage and memory or something. Something is not right in the chipset, and I'll show you exactly why. The answer should be self-explanatory. Let me get the screws off of here. This computer was custom built by a computing firm. I don't know where they are. DMH Computer. And it appears that what they did was they took the cheapest parts they could find and just threw them in here. There's a note from my appointment with the guy. So here's what we have in here. We have an iMicro power supply, which in itself kind of scares me a little bit. But it's been working for this long, so I don't see a reason to really panic too much about it. Its ratings are not that bad. For what kind of machine it is, it's not that bad. It is a 400 watt power supply, but who knows if it can really put that out. I'll probably open up this power supply and look at it at some point. Maybe in this video, who knows. But there's the model number right there. It's an LC 8400 BTX. BTX, that's weird. But here's the board itself. It's an AMD Athlon 64 based machine. They decided to use an ASRock motherboard, and that's likely the reason that it failed, because ASRock is a budget brand of it's Asus. It's the budget form of Asus as far as motherboards go, and this is a budget form, and this is a budget of a budget brand. When you combine those two, often enough, you get a board that fails after a while. Now, this board lasted a long time, so I can't really fault it too much, but it failed in a way that's just, it shouldn't, you know? I've seen Windows 98 machines that are like 15 years old, or Windows 95 machines that are like 15 years old that still run absolutely perfectly fine. So, it's kind of a lame excuse when you get back to that board. It's got the stock heatsink on it for the AMD Athlon 64. That power supply is a 20 pin. That's interesting. It had a 200 gig hard drive in it as well. An optical drive, just a standard light-on optical drive, and a gigabyte of RAM on two 512 sticks. So, this machine was probably built in 2003 or 2004, somewhere around there. Maybe even 2005. I'm not sure what socket this is. I gather it's 939 or 754, but I really have no clue as of right now because I couldn't boot the machine up with it. But yeah, this is what came in. This board is dead. It's dead to the world. The only things that are really salvageable on it are the RAM and the processor. So that's unfortunate, but things like that happen. So, there you have it. So, what's going to happen is I'm going to build this guy a new machine. They're going to test out the new machine in the workplace for a while, which is most likely going to be figuring out Windows 7 and what software works with it. and everything. And if all goes well, I might be building 11 machines for this particular insurance firm, which would be really fun to do. So there you have it. Now I'll start this thing up and show you what it does. It acts very strangely. Okay, let's start this machine up and I'll show you what it does. That fan doesn't sound good. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but the hard drive actually shuts down every time it gets this particular blue screen. Especially with that fan whirring. It booted up. You hear that? The hard drive went down. And it gets a registry error. Let me see if I can clean up that fan noise. That fan noise is in the power supply, actually. So, yeah. That fan needs oiling in the worst way. So I might have to open up that power supply anyway, just to oil the fan. But yeah, every time it gets this particular blue screen, the hard drive just shuts off. You can hear it spin down and everything. It's an unusual error. When you try to boot up a Linux distro, it just throws crap at you and doesn't boot at all, which is unfortunate. Like I said, I thought it was a memory problem, but it's not. Thought it may have been a hard drive issue, but if I can't even boot into Linux to look at the hard drive, I doubt it's a hard drive issue. Honestly, it's the board. It's got to be the chipset just acting. It's either the chipset or the BIOS, one of the two. It's something on the motherboard that's not working completely properly. So that's unfortunate, but these things happen. My theory is that maybe the chipset got too hot at some point because there was a lot of dust in there. Maybe the chipset got too hot and cooked itself a little bit. Or maybe it just died from being cheap. Who knows? But I'm going to reuse this case, reuse that power supply in there if I can get the fan working again. If not, I'll just put one of my own power supplies in there and call it good. Other than that, I'm gonna film the build of one of the Newark machine when I get the parts. I just ordered the parts today, so they'll get here at some point. But this is kind of the before video. This is a very well tired machine that just needs an upgrade in the first place. But not only that, it doesn't function properly. So there you have it. Soon there'll be videos showing the build of the new machine when the parts get here anyway. So until then, hope you enjoyed this video and have a good one, everybody. Ciao.